My name is Ava, and I'm your host for this interview segment of the student TV station Student Club TV, your exclusive insights into the brightest minds on campus. I'm the host of NeuroGeek, your source for the most up-to-date scientific research from the student body. Today, we have the pleasure of interviewing the renowned scientist Professor Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking is a mathematics professor at Cambridge University. Professor Hawking uses an AAC device to speak, so some of my questions were given to the professor ahead of time. Welcome, Professor Hawking. Thank you for taking time out of your busy research schedule to talk with the students.
It is a true pleasure to talk with you. It is wonderful to invigorate the next generation of little professors.
So, to start off with our first question, where did you grow up? What was your early life like?
I was born during the Battle of London. In World War II, I was born in Oxford, England, because my family went there to escape German bombs. Even though my family technically lived in London.
How was school for you growing up?
I never liked school very much and found it boring.
What was your favorite subject?
My favorite subjects were chemistry and math.
So, where did you go to college?
For college, I went to Oxford University.
Did you find Oxford University was hard to get into?
It was actually easy. I got in with a perfect score in physics despite not being able to read or write until 8 years old.
What did you ultimately study at Oxford? What degree did you receive?
I got a degree in physics with honors.
What degree was your doctorate?
Doctor of Philosophy from Cambridge University. I also got a second PhD degree in applied mathematics. And received an Adams Award for my writings about math called Singularities and the Geometry of Spacetime later on.
What was your dissertation on?
My dissertation was in a theoretical approach in expanding universes.
What would you say are 3 big discoveries in your lifetime in physics and cosmology?
Black holes, life cycle of the stars, and long-range space travel.
What is a black hole?
A black hole is a star that dies and collapses into itself so it turns black and sucks everything near the hole into it, including light, so that is why it looks black.
What is the life cycle of a star?
A star is born when gravity pulls certain types of gas together into a glowing ball that we can see from Earth. The star has a core that burns until it dies. When a star dies, it becomes a supernova, which is a burst of light, and then turns into a black hole. What I always found fascinating is that when we see stars, the stars see are actually already dead because it takes so long for their light to reach Earth.
What are your thoughts on the challenges of space travel?
The challenges include the length of time for humans to reach other planets, which would be lifetimes, the changes in temperature on other planets that are very different from Earth, and ethics concerns in such a long trip. The ethics include but are not limited to, if babies are born on the spaceships, and how would the adults on the trip feel about living entire lives in a spaceship?
What is your advice for people that want to go into math and science? Why should people go into math and science as a career?
Learn to ask the big questions. Everybody should be able to ask the big questions.
How did you become disabled?
I have Alzheimer's, is also called Lou Gehrig's disease, after a famous baseball player who had the same disability. It is genetic. That is when the nerves that control the movement of the body do not work anymore, over time.
What was your disability progression like? I am curious because my professor Ben introduced me to one of his colleagues who has a master's degree in music business and certificates in film and audio engineering, and is even a rabbinical student, Dylan Rothbein, who has a similar condition with a similar progression.
My progression started with my balance where I fell and hit my head hard enough to get a concussion, so the hospital did a bunch of tests on me to see why. My progression started with me having trouble walking, because my balance was affected, then one arm, then both arms, and then my voice.
Throughout your progression, what mobility aids did you use? I understand my friend Dylan has ataxia and dystonia, which is genetic too. I have cerebral palsy, which also affects but my disability is an injury. I use crutches.
I used a cane first, then crutches. Eventually I had to be dependent on a wheelchair. My friends and family wanted me to use a wheelchair earlier. But I didn't want to because of my ego. I control my wheelchair through a device that detects my face and eye movements I have left, so I can control my wheelchair on my own.
It sounds like you had some internalized ableism when it came to wheelchair use. As I'm sure you can see, the world is not designed for the disabled, like a lack of a ramp. Some disabled people unfortunately blame themselves for this. Ableism is a prejudice towards disability, so and discrimination toward disability. So internalized ableism is how you process the negative reactions to disability. I dealt with this internalized ableism, particularly in my undergrad, by my faith in God personally. For me, I know God gave me cerebral palsy for a purpose, even though I do not always understand this purpose. It is what my body believes to be true.
For me, I dealt with internalized ableism, though being grateful for being alive, since my disease was supposed to kill me after only 2 years.
What led you to lose your voice?
I got sick with pneumonia when I was traveling, so to save me, doctors had to put a tube in my neck so I could breathe. That destroyed what was left of my ability to speak. This is why my voice you hear is from my AC device, which is a computer that allows me to speak. I control my AC device the same way I control the wheelchair.
As you know, we all have a right to accommodations for disability, which in the U.S. means the Americans with Disabilities Act. I know you're in the UK, so you have different laws regarding that. But you still have similar rights, which means we all have a right to things, to have things modified, to have the same access to things that an able-bodied person would have. What accommodations did you have?
My wife transcribed all of my essays and my dissertations. I use assistive technology. And then I had aides that would do all the physical aspects of my research for me, like writing out math equations.
How did you accept that you needed 24-hour care?
One has to be grown up enough to realize life is not fair. You have to make the best of the situation you are in. Because each day could be the last, I have developed a deep desire to make the most of every moment.
Thank you so much for your time, Professor Hawking. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Student Club TV, your exclusive insights into the brightest minds on campus. I'm Ava, the host of NeuroGeek and your source for the most up-to-date scientific research from the student body.